everyone, and welcome to today's press briefing held by the Ministry of Tourism and Ports. I'm Donna Bush. As always, we're very happy that you could join us on our various CIG channels. Now, today's press briefing will provide you with details on the PAMAC summit. With us in studio are our panelists, FCCA and cruise executives. We also have members of the local media joining us in studio as well as on Zoom. We now welcome members of our panel, starting with our Honourable Minister for Tourism and Ports, Mr. Kenneth Bryan, CEO of the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association, Michelle Page, Director of the Cayman Islands Department of Tourism, Rosa Harris, and Wendy McDonald, Regional Vice President for Government Relations with Royal Caribbean. We'll hear first from our Minister.
Thank you, Donna, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning into this broadcast. These press conferences are not necessarily always about breaking news, but are held to keep the public up to date on some of the latest news and developments regarding our government, our country, and in this case, about cruise tourism industry. It is important to me that the news and information conveyed to the public are accurate and timely as possible. And that's why I have organized this press briefing today to give you the opportunity to hear directly from the panel. So thank you once again for those who have tuned in. The news that I'd like to share today is that the Ministry and the Department of Tourism have had the pleasure this week of hosting the FCCA Chief Executive Officer, Ms. Michelle Page, and senior executives from all of the major cruise lines: Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Celebrity Cruises, Disney, MSC, Norwegian, Oceania, and Windstar, for the annual FCCA PAMAC conference, which has been held and attended by 150 members of the Platinum Association Member Advisory Council, better known as PAMAC. This is the first time that the PAMAC conference has been held here in the Cayman Islands and has given our destination an opportunity to engage in candid conversations with our industry partners, and our key areas and focus that we talked about were on areas such as product development and diversification, itinerary development, infrastructure management, and ultimately enhancing the level of our customer satisfaction. With the cruise sector playing such a significant role in the Cayman Islands tourism industry, I am committed as Minister to working closely with our industry partners to ensure that our lines of communication remain open at all times, and that the goals and the objectives of the respective areas within our industry, whether government, cruise lines, or business owners, can be considered and actioned. The ultimate goal for all concerned is to facilitate a sustainable growth and development of our cruise tourism sector for mutual benefit of our country. From the government's perspective, it is recognized that building new attractions and providing funding and access to funding for entrepreneurs to bring new business offerings and to market is where our focus needs to be in the short term and in the long term. And I hope you'll get that feedback from the members on the panel. And that's why I'll be seeking funding in the next budget coming up to help small businesses and entrepreneurs to set up small shops across our country so that we can increase the number of authentic tourism products and services, particularly outside our traditional tourism hotspots. You have heard me say time and time again that my vision for the cruise sector is to achieve quality over quantity, which means placing more emphasis on higher value passengers. This is because the mass model style of cruise tourism that we've followed for years simply isn't sustainable for our island's limited and fragile natural resources. Our discussions with the cruise line executives and business owners over the last 3 days confirm that there is appetite for change in the traditional cruise business model, and perhaps thought needs to be given to having different models within the industry, catering to different types of offerings within each subsector. The question would then become, how could we achieve that? And it is invariably leads to us looking at how the distribution of income can be rebalanced so that businesses and entrepreneurs and small cruise line operators can still earn a good living without negatively impacting the very product that is called Destination Cayman. The bottom line is that successfully rebalancing that equation will require us to look at developing new products and tours and discerning guests who are prepared to pay more for more exclusive experiences. The development of the new waterfront experience in the heart of Georgetown is just one example of the government's commitment to showing support to this type of initiative. As Minister, I'm working towards having small groups of passengers arrive directly at that property from yacht-type cruises that are coming onto the market, where guests can feel as though they're greeted with that white glove approach that we're trying to develop here in the Cayman Islands cruise tourism product. These are the types of initiatives that I've been talking about since becoming minister, and I'm fully committed to bringing it into fruition. I know that I still have a lot of work to do with my colleagues in government, and I'm committed to getting that done. My goal is to keep moving forward so that the next time we get together with the FCCA partners, we can have some solid proposals for consideration. I realize time is of the essence, as our partners, unfortunately, are heading directly to the airport following this press conference, so I'll keep my remarks rather short and sweet to allow them the opportunity to also add their perspectives of what we've done over the last 3 days with the conference. So, to wrap up, I would once again like to say how pleased I am to have been able, with my team, to host the PAMAC conference here in the Cayman Islands. It has been exceptionally valuable, not just from the operators within the industry, but for the ministry and the Department of Tourism, and for all their local cruise operators and stakeholders who attended. For 2023, the Ministry of Tourism has set a target of 70% of the 2019 passenger numbers, equating to 1.2 million passengers. And by working together in ways that I've witnessed over the last 3 days, I am certain and I'm confident that we will make that mark of 70% of cruise passengers so our people can get better opportunities. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you very much, Minister Bryan. We now go to Ms. Michelle Page.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be with our friends, very good friend, Minister Kenneth Bryan. Representing the 24-member lines of the Florida Caribbean Cruise Association the past 3 days has given us the perspective from the eyes of the cruise executives how phenomenal the Cayman Islands is. The Cayman Islands has always been a great partner to the cruise industry, but it's given us the opportunity to look within. How can we work better for the people of Cayman? Looking at not just a passenger to spend $100, to have a passenger come in, be able to have the uniqueness, be able to understand all the aspects, your culture, your history, your food, your culinary experiences, to be able to have people enjoy and spend money. Happy passengers spend money. What we've been able to accomplish is having new entrepreneurs be able to come in so we can spread out the people. We want to be able to have many aspects of the Cayman Islands be able to seize the economic avenue of the cruise industry. So that's the goal that we have, having passengers maximize the spending, be able to have all of the aspects understood of what the Cayman Islands represents. When they go back home, we know that a passenger may be a passenger today, but they are a hotel guest tomorrow. So that's what we've been able to work together is A, spreading people around, not to over-concentrate one area. Looking at other aspects even in Cayman Brac. How can we maximize what the passengers spend? As you can realize, people will respond to what you offer them. Sell up. Passengers are people. They respond to unique experiences. They were willing to spend more money for those experiences. The other aspect, as we work together, is the crew. Spending money is what the crew do in a very short period. When they get off a vessel, in a very maximized amount of time, they spend money on food and beverages and having services. So we, together, the government is looking, how can the people of Cayman maximize the cruise industry. So thank you very much for your partnership. We look forward to having this partnership continued over the years. This is not, as we've underlined, just something that we are going to do for 3 days. This is a long-term commitment to being able to help the people of Cayman maximize what they receive from the cruise industry. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michelle. We'll now go to Mrs. Harris.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm glad that the minister shared the target for this year, because I'd like to share our year-to-date performance. For January through May of 2023, for cruise passengers, we've welcomed 666,000 passengers to date. That represents 73.8% of 2019's capacity. So we are well on our way to meet our target, Minister, and we're confident that given beautiful, bright, sunny days and, getting through our hurricane season, we can continue to deliver. When FCCA called and said, Rosa, we have this opportunity, we'd like for you to look at it, I said, we're in recovery. We are very serious about recovering all aspects of tourism. We're interested in hosting this conference. What did we get out of it this week? My team, particularly on the product development side, we handle accommodations, we handle attractions, we work with tour operators and transport, we handle scholarships and, promote tourism careers as to where opportunities are. So we are in a space where the visitor experience and what we deliver is super important, and being able to influence that. This week, we were able to talk with cruise executives and also invite our partners to speak with them, to look into opportunities for partners to say what their concepts are, their business ideas are, and to work hand in hand with cruise lines to make it better and to deliver that offering to visitors for when they visit Cayman. It's important for us to continue to diversify. We know that the Turtle Center, 7 Mile Beach, that shuttle run has been a classic offering for cruise visitors, but there's so much more for Grand Cayman to offer for diversified, immersive experiences. And we're able now to use this information from our March familiarization trip with FCCA to the conference this week. We have a lot of information that we want to be able to work with industry partners on to be able to deliver more opportunities. And that will be underpinned by, hopefully in the next budget, Minister, where we'll be able to deliver a visitor development experience fund to be able to help entrepreneurs, new and old, to be able to invest and get it started up. So the outlook for cruise is stable. The travel sentiment overall, when we look at those wanting to travel, despite all of the messages that we see in the global marketplace, is very positive. Family is important. Sharing experiences with family is important, and persons are prioritizing their annual vacations. So we have to be in the space and we have to deliver a quality product. In addition to our partners getting in front of cruise lines, all of our tourism group, our government tourism group, that included the new Cayman Islands National Tourism Attractions Authority. Sorry, I'm gonna get a lot of heat for that. So our former Tourism Attractions Board, let me say that because I'm comfortable with that. The Cayman Turtle Center, our Cayman Islands Port Authority, and Land and Sea Co-op, in addition to DOT and the ministry, are a group that work together. In addition to this group, we were able to do some assessments on how do we offer better services to partners, whether that's insurance, rates on experiences, being able to provide better transportation, and particularly the point of entry, our port our ports, whether that's North, South Terminal, or Royal Watler, how do we process passengers more efficiently? All of those conversations have been ongoing, but culminated this week for face-to-face immersive experiences throughout the week. So we want to thank FCCA. We have been a platinum sponsor, a platinum member for a long time, and most recently a presidential strategic partner. And our reason for signing up for that was to get our industry restarted, to be able to get in front of very key relationships that help to commit the capacity to Cayman. So in order to manage what we have now and be able to maintain and stabilize that in the future, these types of face-to-face interactions are super important. So we're just happy to be here and support our ministry on these initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Harris. We're now going to go to Wendy McDonald.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Minister Bryan, one of the hardest working ministers of tourism that I know, Rosa and the team for a fantastic 3 days. We had the opportunity to come to the beautiful island of Cayman to experience what our cruise passengers experience when they get here. And first, let me say the cruise industry is bouncing back. For the first quarter, Royal Caribbean has already surpassed our 2019 numbers, and the rest of the year looks really great to break those records. It was really a great opportunity to be able to get the experiences that our cruise passengers get to. We had several tours that we were able to choose from: the Turtle Center, Stingray City, the distillery, several tours, and the response that we got back from our colleagues were that they were all happy to see the diversification of the tours. As Michelle said, it's always important for you to look at how can you separate yourself, or what are the niche tours. Diversity is always important for our passengers, and what our passengers want is to come and immerse themselves in your culture and your history. Another thing that our passengers ask for a lot is the culinary experiences. So if, Cayman thinks about, how can we introduce your local dishes to our passengers? How can you teach them to cook something that they might have had at a hotel or at a restaurant that they visited? We love Cayman, and our passengers all want to come to Cayman, and we go where our passengers want to go. And when they have these wonderful experiences, they come back and ask for the itineraries to include the destinations that they enjoyed so much. The hospitality, the friendliness, the beauty of Cayman was very clear to us in the past few days. There's some persons, it was their first time visiting Cayman. I have to say, I've been here a few times. Every time I come, I discover something new. And that's what's great about Cayman. There's so much to discover. So we encourage you to keep on marketing. We're happy that we have the partnership with Cayman Islands and FCCA. And as a cruise industry, we're here to support you, to see you grow, and to see you get back to the numbers prior to 2019. And congratulations again, Minister, on the fantastic 3 days that we had. Some of us don't want to leave. Unfortunately, we have to. And all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wendy. We're now going to open the floor up to members of the media, beginning with Mr. Ralph Lewis from the Caymanian Times.
Thank you, Donna, and good morning, Mr. and your panel. It's great to be back here again. Minister, if you don't mind, I'll direct my questions to our guests, and probably other journalists would probably have some for you. The first question is from Ms. Page. How important is the Cayman Islands in this region as a cruise destination now, and in your thoughts in the near future?
Cayman Islands is extremely important. Number one, you score very high on guest satisfaction ratings. So as Wendy made reference, we bring passengers to where they want to go. So that's number one. When someone looks at an itinerary and they see the Cayman Islands on the itinerary, that score is very high. Number two, when we bring our passengers here, they always have a phenomenal experience. So the work ahead is to bring more entrepreneurs into the forefront to be able to offer more experiences. Because while you're long established, shore excursions are important. it needs to be underlined that a lot of passengers have been here before. It used to be that 90% of the vessel was a first-timer. Now, it's probably about 60% of the vessel is a first-timer. So how are you going to maximize having those passengers want to get off the vessel? That they just don't say, oh, I'm just going to enjoy the ship. To be able to showcase that they're going to do something new and different. And as was made reference, is to be able to sell up. Passengers have money to spend. But if you just offer them a tour, it's a tour. It's a way to spend the day. But a unique experience, they're going to pay for that. So there has to be a lot of different product offerings. So thank you very much.
Thank you. My other two questions now, Ms. McDonald. How important are cruise pairs to Royal Caribbean in comparison to using tenders to ferry your passengers?
It's important for us to provide a quality guest experience. And for that, it's easier for us when we can pull up to a tier. The tenders, our ships carry between 3,000 and 7,000 passengers. The length of time it takes to move passengers from the ship on a tender to port, it takes a while. It does, interrupt the experience. If you pull up to the pier, then it's faster moving to get the guests off the ship and to get them on the tours, to get them to see your beautiful island. So for us, we want to provide an end-to-end guest experience. As soon as the guest enters our ship, gets off the ship to the different destinations, we want to ensure that that experience is the best that they can have. So a pier experience would always be preferred over a tender experience.
Okay. But it wouldn't stop the visitors from coming?
We wouldn't stop the visitors from coming. The thing is, as Michelle said, Cayman Islands is very important to us. Caribbean is in our name, Royal Caribbean. The Caribbean is very important to us. And we take guests where they want to go. Cayman Islands is a very high appeal and a very high guest satisfaction. So we will continue to come, but we also, as you may have heard in the news, we continue to make bigger ships that provide more experiences, that have a larger number of passengers. There will come a point where some of those ships will not be able to go to some of the markets because, again, the number of people we would have to tender in would not factor into the best guest experience.
Okay. Thank you. My final question, Ms. Harris mentioned that Cayman's recovery is well on its way, and you mentioned for Royal Caribbean, that's the same. Is it similar for other cruise companies?
Do you want to take
So would you say the whole industry is seeing this improvement?
The whole industry is doing phenomenal. The problem is we still have to pay back that debt. If we could just say, let's just forget about the past, that would be really great. But right now, passenger spend is up. The cruise industry is doing very well.
Okay. Thank you very much, Donald. That's all for today. Sorry, sir.
Mr. Lewis, if I can, I think it'd be important to add on a few comments onto some of the factors, particularly when it comes to the pairs as well as the numbers. As you heard us say that we aspire to get to 70%, and you've heard where other islands have gone back to their 100% of the 2019 numbers. And there's a factor, and that factor is because of the pair. But as I've reiterated many, many times to the executives, what the Cayman Islands position is in respect to pairs. The people have spoken, and we're not going down that road. But the 70% is a reflection of that decision. Unfortunately, we will miss out on a number of ships over the next 2 years, and to be honest with you, there may be even more as we go further down the future. Hence the reason why you see I've taken the strategic approach to trying to get more money out of those that we do have, being quality over quantity, so our people can still make the same opportunities, upselling themselves. We have to be the high end of cruise, the white glove approach, because we have made a strategic decision to our commitment to sustainability, to the environment, and until the engineering and our strategies to create a pier that is not going to impact our environment, we're not going down that road because that's the people's will. So we don't know when that will be. So we've changed our angle and our model, and that's what much of the discussions have been about. Creating new attractions outside of Stingray City, Turtle Center, Hell, Crystal Cave, 7 Mile Beach, Pedro Castle. We need to create new marquee experiences. So when you have that 60-40 split, we can take that 40% who's been here and done all of those attractions to say, here's something brand new. So we can keep that money being spent out of the 70% of the 2019 numbers that we had. So we're working our way around the national decision as to no peers, because if we had peers, we could get back to 2019 numbers quite easily. Most of my colleagues in the Caribbean have done that already. But this is the people's will, and we're using strategies to get past that. One of the part that I think that I should mention that came up is our beach experience. One of the attractions that never go away and never get boring is our amazing beaches. But you know that we have a competition problem on the 7 Mile Beach where we're sharing cruise with stayover. Stayover does give a greater spend value per square foot. So that's where you see much of the 7 Mile Beach has been consumed. We've talked to the cruise line executives, and they've highlighted that, they want beach experiences, because for those who have been here already, they wouldn't mind just going, sit down, have a cocktail, be entertained by our local musicians and so forth, and just relax, because some people just like cruises for a relaxation, not necessarily to do anything else. So you may have seen over the last 2 years, the government has been strategically buying beachfront properties. And the hope and goal within the ministry, as long as I can get the financial support, is to take some of those crown properties and turn them into little secluded areas where we can have partnerships with the cruise lines to say, okay, we have a beautiful 4-acre location in Bordentown. You truck them down to that location and just spend the day just chilling by the beach. Now, obviously, 7 Mile Beach offers a different type of product. The sand and the on-land experience is exactly the same, but in the water, we have a little bit of turtle grass, which offers a little bit different than 7 Mile Beach. But there's many people who don't go in the water. They just want to sunbathe on the sea and enjoy a good beverage and some great cuisine that we offer. So we're working on that, as well as trying to come up with new creative marquee experiences. And I want to take this opportunity to talk to my local people. Please, if you're creative, if you're like a child of Disney who wants to come up with an amazing new thing that people would just love to come to, now it's time to come to the department and the Ministry of Tourism and come up with that new idea, because the government has to build new marquee experiences, and the executives have said that. Give them different experiences so we can get more money out of them. I hate to say it like that, but ultimately that's what we're in the business of, is spending that money in our economy. So I thought I'd add that to the context.
Can I just add something?
Of course.
One of your most precious resource is your people. People to people tours too. Our cruise passengers want to hear your stories. They want to be immersed in your culture. So even if there's opportunities to welcome people to come into your home, to have a cup of tea, to have the stories about how Cayman became Cayman. These are things that the cruise passengers want, and we would be entertained having those tours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you very much, Ralph. We'll now move on to Andrel Harris from Compass Media.
Thank you, Donna. My first question, thanks, Ralph, for setting up there. My first question, Minister, you mentioned that you are hoping to secure funding in the upcoming budget for these unique experiences. What's the ballpark figure that you're looking for, and how much of that will each person qualify for? What's the rough estimates like?
Well, ideally, I would like about $4 or $5 billion, but I'm not going to get that. I'm just kidding. We estimate between 2 and 3 million, and we're hoping that a ballpark between 30 and 50,000 per applicant. We haven't gone through the terms of reference in respect to it yet, because until I get the commitment from my colleagues for the monies, it makes no sense to put in the energy and the work until we have the money. We have the preliminaries around it. The criteria would be necessary, like brand new experiences. We're not going to give funding to somebody to do another water sports experience unless it's something totally different, or another dive or another stingray. We're talking about taking us outside the box and something brand new that will help pull people off the ship and help them spend. And also, location is going to be key. We need to spread the passengers across the island, because one of the things that many people have issues with is the congestion in any one location. So we have to be strategic about not only saying bring in more attractions in the West Bay and Georgetown area. We need to move some of them east. And that's why we talked about with the executives to say the government is also strategically doing road infrastructure to be able to have the flow of our passengers get to these attractions a lot quicker. And that's why I've been saying for so long why the East-West Arterial is so essential to the tourism product, to get the guests, our visitors, to those new authentic attractions that the cruise lines are asking for. So obviously they're not here all day. They come for an average about 8 hours, and if you take 2 hours out of it traveling, that's 2 hours worth of spending they're not doing in our economy. So hopefully my colleagues will support me with the money that I need as we go through the budget discussions, so we can do that to encourage the 70% that we're estimated to get over the next 2 years, that we can squeeze as much value out of that 70%, because we don't have cruise. So we have to find different strategies to be able to maximize what we do have, and some financial support for Caymanians to do that will be a great help.
Thank you. Next one is for either you or Ms. Michelle, but many vendors in Cayman and throughout the region have complained that the profit share split between vendors on land and that with the cruise organizations is unfair, with the cruise ship companies taking the lion's share of the profit and oftentimes doing little to no work. One vendor complained about a 60-40 split, with the cruise ship taking at least 60% of the profits. What, if anything, will be done to address the profit share between cruise ships and actual online vendors in Cayman, and dare I say, Ms. Michelle, throughout the region?
That's really up to the vendor and the cruise line to be able to work out what the arrangement is. But I think, as the minister said, if you have too high of a concentration doing the same thing, then there's always going to try to have the money, you're going to be liquidating the money that's there, because the value isn't there. So that's why we need to have a lot of different high-end experiences to be able to get more money in. This way, there'll be less vendors doing the same thing.
If I can just add a little context to it. I always try to remind myself that this is a business, and you have two sides of it. The cruise line is going to try to do everything it possibly can to get as much profits. If they can get 90% of it, they're going to try. Let's be honest about that, right? Our people need to be working closer together to allow a divide and conquer perspective. Many times, people are successful in more profit share because of the division underbidding ourselves. The only way that Caymanians are going to get more if they stay together and don't agree to lower prices. I've had that same conversation you were talking about with the vendors here, and they complain about each other. If I was a cruise line, I would do the same thing. I'm in it for money. That's the reality. That's why they're in this business. You just heard them say they got to pay back the debt. Our people need to stay together. We need to bond together and say, no, we're not going to accept any prices lower than X, whatever that may be. And that's not a place where government wants to get to. We don't want to get into organized unionizing our product. But what sometimes happens is some persons are undercutting their fellow colleagues and just to get the business. And the cruise lines are going to say, hey, there's an opportunity for me to make more money. And could you blame them? No. we have to do a better job together, creating our own standards to ensure that what we do offer is quality and it is deserving of the price that we set, and stick to it regardless, because from a long-term perspective, it protects everybody.
And it's very important to recognize that on a ship that carries 4,000 passengers, there's a wide variety of price points that the passengers are looking for. Some of them are entry-level cruise, shore excursions, and some of them will spend a lot of money. So that's one of the things that all of the shore excursion providers need to look at, is how can they offer something more exclusive. You know, they don't have to, as the minister said, be entering in on the same tour. Do something different. Do something exclusive. Offer something, even if it's going in the same, shore excursion element. How can you make it different, more exclusive? How can you enter into it to be able to have a different price point? So this way, as the minister said, it's not cannibalizing the same tour.
Okay, thank you. And as a result of my strict question limits, Minister, throughout the conversations, were there any other issues that were brought forward by the vendors that your team are looking to address with the Cruise Line Association?
Not specifically from the vendors. Obviously, it's just the opportunity to get more direct discussions, and I think that's why we hosted this conference in the first place, which was to allow our Caymanian people and business owners to come and sit directly with the CEO of a cruise line. We've never had that opportunity before, and that's why we hosted the PAMAC, and I was so happy to see many of our local vendors there, wining, dining, building relationships, having dialogue, and I've even heard some of them saying, Kenneth, thank you so much, because you know what? I built a new contract. I've gone into a new tour, and we are planning to have meetings following up from this. So trust me, there was great value in this. The only other thing that I think came up throughout this is the functionality of the port. And we had discussions about that. I want to take this opportunity to thank Disney and their team, because they're in such of the business of movement of people with their attractions. They have some really good design specialists who came down and worked with the port about how we flow the traffic of people coming off and on, and we've implemented some of that, and it's working pretty well, considering the size of our arrival space. But I think we got a lot done. We talked about a lot of important things. It's now for us to go out and action them.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrell. We now move to Zoom. Wendy Ledger from Cayman News Services standing by. Wendy?
Hello, Donna. Sorry, I wasn't standing by as much as I should have been. Can you hear me?
Good
We
morning.
sure can, yes.
I was scrolling, I was writing down the notes because Handel just asked my questions, but I've got some more, so that's okay.
Okay.
Can I ask, first of all, do we have the latest official statistics or information on exactly how many cruise passengers, or the percentage of cruise passengers, are converted to stay-over tourists?
Say the last part again for me, Wendy.
The conversion of cruise passengers.
Yeah, the conversion. We always talk
stay
about
over.
how having cruise passengers is great because they later, because even though their carbon footprint is terrible compared to overnighters, it doesn't matter, we forgive them because they come back as overnighters who then apparently buy condos and stuff. So I just want to know what the conversion rate is at the moment, what we believe it to be.
Wendy, obviously that is, it would take some serious analysis of the data.
So we haven't done that?
No, but we do have some preliminary ideas. I think, matter of fact, from past administrations, we've talked about a 5% margin of cruise passengers, but we need to update that. But it's equations that have to be proven by way of tracking of persons. But yeah, you're right. We're doing it not necessarily by data-driven equations, which needs to be done, but the assumption based on people who come here when we do surveys to say, why did you pick the Cayman Islands? And they say, oh, I've been on a cruise before. So to say exact figure for figure, we don't have that, and we'll seek it out. Michelle, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
We need to look at people that are on a ship might be a cruise passenger today, but they are not exclusively a cruise passenger. They take a lot of different modes of vacation. So it really depends on what they experience. But what we do know is every single passenger that is on a cruise is looking for their next vacation. That's just human nature. We know that 95% of cruise passengers take other modes of vacation. Approximately 5% are exclusive, they just like cruising. It's more convenient, they feel taken care of, but 95% of a vessel is looking for another experience, is looking for another cruise. So that's one of the aspects that you have to realize. Every single person that meets and greets a cruise passenger is the goodwill ambassador to encourage them to come back.
Wendy, I think I understand the logic as to why the question is a very, very important one, because as we are justifying the importance of staying in cruise, we have to show proof that it boils over to stay over. So I appreciate the question. I endeavor to get the full answer myself. But the other part that is need to be considered, that even if every cruiser wasn't direct translation to stay over, they also go back to the locations of which they are resident and speak about the Cayman Islands. So they become marketing tools themselves to say, you know, I stopped in the Cayman Islands, and they may actually get to somebody who likes stay over vacation just as much. So there is value, and I think that's what you're trying to focus on, is the value, But we do have to pen that out to show where the value is. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. It's because the follow-up question really it's about the amount of money that we, as a government, that it puts into tourism and the amount of money that the local people get out of it. So I just want to check with you. I'm going to follow on now with this fund. Can you explain? I mean, are you planning to raise money for the fund, or you just hoping that it will come out of general revenue, so that you can then? The plan is to then give individual business owners a grant of some kind to develop new trips, basically. Is that what this
I get. Basically, obviously, it's not until we get the money that we can create the structure upon which.
So you're not planning to raise the money through any kind of new tax or fee or something. You want it from general revenue.
Yes, correct.
Okay, and that will go to people who come with a great application and say, I've come up with this amazing trip, like we're going to do flying saucers across the North Sound.
Yes, basically, but obviously it's just not giving away money to anybody who comes up with an idea. There's a number of steps that will be taken, quite similar to what you've seen before with the business development office, where you come in, you present your business plan, your marketing strategy, how you're going to run your books. There's going to be a severe criteria of examination, and this will have to be in a lot of niche markets that are not there yet. We're not going to just give money to people to add to what we already have, because that's not what the industry is asking for.
Yeah, they want something new. I think Ms. Page has made that quite clear. They want something new. Stingray's not enough for people anymore. What was the last thing? I just have one last little point that I wanted to follow up on, which is about the money. But yeah, you said that there's no taxes on this. It's going to come from general revenue, you said, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, no, I'm good. You can pass on for someone else.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Have a lovely day.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you very much, Wendy. We're now going to move to a minister for final remarks.
Thank you so much, Donna. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Michelle Page and all the executive members who came to the Cayman Islands and the Platinum members. It was wonderful on behalf of my people to have you here in our home. I think the dialogue and discussions were fruitful for us all. I look forward to future relations on behalf of our people in the future. And with that being said, everybody who's tuned in and listening, I hope you have a God-blessed day, and take care.
All right, thank you very much. We've come to the end of today's press briefing. As always, we thank you, the public, the media, our panelists, other invited guests for joining us. I'm Donna Bush, as always. Have a great day, everybody.